Hey everybody, Emotional Think Tank Season 2, Episode 9. Uh, it got pretty intense, so the original audio recording is not going to be made available. Just we got into a bunch of personal stuff, and that's really going to be more the tone of things. I'm going to have the audio recording to review to do these summary recordings, but in order to really maintain the sanctuary of the space, where we're not going to be sharing the direct live feed from the original events. But you're welcome to come and attend in person. We can even do like a remote connection kind of thing through like Google Hangouts or other things like that if that's requested. But for the time being, come down to Sacred City Thursdays at 7 p.m. and join in. So, Emotional Think Tank Season 2, Episode 9 was Mind and Gut, is what came up on the Facebook request. So I did some summary notes, so bear with me because we kind of did go back and forth, so I tried to group as much as I could. But basically the idea is that the gut gives a simple yes or no, and it's a feeling indicator. It's also illogical and has a lot to do with survivalism versus harmony. And the mind is very logic-oriented, double, triple checking. It's kind of like the judge. One of the participants actually brought up that mind is different to her than brain. Brain is simply the organ through which the information is processed, but the mind is actually the observer, kind of like metacognition. So in some cases it's separate for people, some cases it's merged. Organization versus observer, and again survivalism versus harmony in the thinking states. Now, what connects those two is actually the longest nerve in the body, and that's called the vagus nerve, and it has communication back and forth. So it isn't just one-way communication from the stomach to the brain. It's actually the brain to the stomach as well. So to some level, some of the internal processes can be interacted with through a brain interaction or mind interaction. It actually connects to the enteric nervous system. So this is the gastrointestinal. So anything that comes into your space, any energies that you're processing on a physical level will actually be they'll actually be translated through this vagus nerve. And it actually bypasses the language centers of the brain. So a lot of time when we get into emotional states, we don't necessarily have the words to describe the feelings that are going on for us. So we also got into fight versus flight response, which are automatic responses to stimulus, and bodily awareness versus bodily identification. So bodily awareness is you're aware of what's going on in your body, and you observe your body as a separate entity from what you identify as self. Otherwise, you're identifying with your body, and that's actually come up in quite a few different things in the seminars that I've attended and things along those lines. So interoception was a fun thing that Lauren brought up, and that's awareness of energy as it moves through the body. And then this is actually a clinical term. In my own experience, I describe it as energy kinesthetics. So it's actually the body's relationship with energy as it moves through the body, as well as the awareness of where it's at within the body. And making a differentiation between bodily feelings and emotional feelings. So that was a fun bit of conversation that we had on that. And really, just as I bring up these points, feel free to ponder them and come up with whatever you come up with, and respond in the comments. So the body's a problem solver, and it will actually generate repeat performances of experiences that it can't quite figure out. It doesn't know why this thing happened. And that actually shows up in cognitive dissonance. Now, cognitive dissonance isn't just what goes on in the mind. It can also be in the body brain, in the stomach. So when we experience anxiety, a lot of times it'll show up in the solar plexus area, or in what we experience to be our stomach or our belly or whatever. The symptoms of anxiety will show up, and that's actually where a lot of the biological processes happen, is within that region, as well as the interaction through the vagus nerve with the cerebellum and some of the other more animalistic parts of the brain that deal with fight or flight and emotional response to and just automatic bodily response to trauma or obstruction or things of that nature. So cognitive dissonance actually shows up when your body begins to reject your belief systems. Sometimes for people that can show up pretty violently, and other times it's kind of a disassociation with themselves or disassociation with the event, kind of out-of-body experiences kind of thing when there's trauma going on. So when the body does begin to trust that it won't be put into a space of inescapable harm, it can then begin to communicate more fully, because the body is meant to be as a tool, as a vessel to navigate us around this physical existence. And when it's put into dangerous situations repeatedly, through choice or distraction or whatever else comes up, it doesn't trust us as much, because we haven't given it a reason to do so. So another thing that came up was, who taught you about your body? This is actually, this strikes home a lot with me, because when I was growing up and puberty came around, I got handed a book that said basically that masturbation is evil, and that any self-exploration of a bodily nature was a sin, getting into ego and other problems of that nature. So I got to resolve that cognitive dissonance for myself, and really process some of that. It's a really good share, and getting into trial and error ways of living, without actually having any observable data beforehand. One of the ways that you can get into understanding is trial and error. Let's try this out, or let's try this out. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that kind of worked. I want this experience to be there, that kind of thing. There's also simply knowing, connecting, and truly understanding that truly understanding that you are fully accountable and participating in what's going on for your body. So allow yourself to have either one of those experiences, either the trial and error version or the knowing. One of them consistently will produce results of a nature that is enjoyable, and the other one maybe not. So tune into that for yourself. And then another little fun fact is that the prefrontal cortex of the body, the brain, that part of the body, doesn't fully develop until we're about 25 years old. So a lot of the things that the prefrontal cortex manages within our bodies doesn't really develop until, we're past high school, A lot of us are past college if we end up going. We've had a couple of jobs, maybe even a marriage or so under our belts. So that it's really, it's really giving ourselves love and tuning into that knowing that we don't necessarily have all the answers. And we can choose to wait until we have all the answers, or we can choose to just honor ourselves and know, hey, I, I didn't have all the answers. I mean, that part of my brain isn't even fully developed yet. Or as we're reviewing past events, in your teens or early 20s, how could I make that mistake or that decision or that interaction, um, and just really allow it to, allow yourself to review it. I've got tools like karmic processing and other things that I can assist people with, but it's really tuning into that awareness and saying, okay, this is what I get to do for me, and making that choice. Uh, it's a little bit late. It's 4:44 now on Monday. A little late in recording the summary video, but it was a pretty busy and powerful weekend for me. So I'm loving myself and saying that that's okay to get to it now. There's a lot of noise going on this morning, so it works. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me through humansbeing7@gmail. You can hit me up on Facebook through IM, excuse me, or you can text message me. My contact info is there on my main page. Kind of feel like that's it for today. I'm gonna be doing some other stuff online, but I'll have this uploaded here shortly, and we'll go from there. Namaste, and blessings to each of you.